This week, you're going to learn a little bit more about the program structure, and you are also going to learn how to create if and if else statements, which are selection structures. They are also called branching statements. You're going to begin with the lesson key points. This is what they are covering in the Code Easy tutorial. So they talk about the method, and in particular, the main method. And then talking about what a class is. And we're going to be working a lot with classes later in the semester, and we'll be working pretty much the entire semester with classes in the 195 class. So you're going to be learning a lot about classes. So we'll get into that, more about what a namespace is, what a using statement does. Then these are your math conditional operators, kind of a little review of those. And then we get into selection structures. And that is the if statement and the if else. There are other selection structures in C#, but these are the two that we're going to start with. And both of them test a condition, which is why we kind of reviewed these conditional operators. I think this is pretty straightforward. I have given you some examples here that you can look at. Also talked a little bit about a nested if else. And so this kind of gives you a little background on what is in the Code Easy tutorial. Because as you know, the tutorial is a story. So sometimes it's easy to miss those key points. When you get into the tutorial, I will tell you the key points are typically in red. So if you can look for the red text, that will be helpful. In this particular tutorial, a lot of the code that you need to do is fixing errors. So they've got like errors coded in, and you are going to be fixing those errors in order to get it to run correctly. The end of this gets into using Visual Studio Community 2022. So like the first page, there's quite a few coding exercises. And as I mentioned, it is correcting errors. And then we get into using Visual Studio 2022. If you are comfortable downloading and installing it, awesome. This is what we are going to use in the 195 class, and it is what we use in all of the upper level courses. If you don't want to install it at this time, you do not have to. We can use .NET Fiddle. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave it up to you, but they do tell you what the workloads and the components should be. And then you can go ahead and install it. And they actually give you a pretty good overview on how to use it as well. The only thing that is a little different is that the current .NET framework is .NET 6, not .NET 5. Because it'll actually say for .NET 5 that it is no longer supported. So just kind of a little FYI. So you can actually walk through all of these, and then they're going to want you to download the Code Easy extension, which I did. I actually had to close out of Visual Studio, and I'm actually installing that as we speak. This is installing it for me. Okay, so once I closed out of Visual Studio, this installer started up. I had to click modify, and off it ran. So you certainly can use Visual Studio. The nice thing is that it is supposed to interface with Code Easy, so you could actually do your lessons in here. Now, Visual Studio is kind of a resource hog. Sometimes it runs slow. do you have to do your exercises in Visual Studio? Absolutely not. You can just keep using Code Easy like you have been. So, or you can use .NET Fiddle. And in this particular class, I'm not going to require Visual Studio. That gives me to the Dropbox for your Code Easy. Again, what you need to do a screenshot of, because you're scored based on the number of tasks that you complete successfully. And 90%, 100%, obviously, you get all the points. 90%, you'll get 90% of 15. Okay, and so that, I believe, if you score between 13 and 14, that is 90%, so you get 9 out of 10. If you score a 12, that's 80%, so you're going to get 8 out of 10. So your score that you're going to get on the assignment is based on how many you solve correctly. But since you can go back and go back into any coding section you missed, right? I mean, I can come back in here and open up any of these and redo them. Or if I scroll down and I see that I missed one, you certainly can do it. And then you can go to that summary and, you can get all of the tasks completed. Okay, so what you're gunning for is to have all of them completed, because then you get all the points. For the lab assignment, this is where you're going to practice what you've learned. And so I have 3 different programs you're going to create, and you're either going to create them in .NET Fiddle or the Visual Studio community. And I do have little videos that show you how to create a program that's similar to the first one here. Not going to be identical, because then I would be telling you how to complete it. That's not really applying what you've learned. So the video shows you, this one shows you how to use .NET Fiddle. This one shows you how to use Visual Studio Community. And what you're going to need to do is take a little screenshot of the program and the output, and then upload that to the Dropbox. And what I do for screenshots is I use the snipping tool. And here's a little example from the sample code that I showed you in the video. But this is kind of a nice little tool. You hit new, you drag over whatever it is you want to store as a screenshot. And then when it comes back here, you can actually save this. So this is kind of a nice little tool, and it is part of Windows. So in both the videos, I show you how to use that. So we have this first program, very similar to what's in the videos. We have another program that you're going to do, and I do give you some sample output here. And then we have a third program, and I've given you sample output here, and plus kind of explained what you need to do. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. It's similar to what they've been having you do in the Code Easy tutorials. But if you do get stuck on anything, pop into the live stream office hours, ask for help. You can also kind of copy and paste your code and try to email it to me. I think through Gmail, it'll be okay. Sometimes with coding, Moodle, Gmail, they try to execute the code, which is a problem if you need me to see it. If you copy paste the code and I see it and it doesn't make sense, it probably is executed, and I will let you know that. If you're worried about it executing the code, there is a little program called Notepad. You can actually do a little search. Just a little text editing program, and you certainly could copy and paste the code in here, and save it as, a file and send it that way. That way, if you sent it as an email attachment, it won't execute the code. So perfectly happy to help you guys with these. I wrote the instructions. I think they're clear. But if you guys are confused about anything, please ask, okay? Because I am here to help you. And, you know, if you can't quite figure out the code, if you have a problem, again, ask, okay? I don't want anybody to get frustrated. And this is just to reinforce what you've learned. I did include the little video on the different parts of the program down here in the additional resources. This is the same video that was in lesson 2, but I love it. I think it does a great job of explaining the structure. I also have a couple additional resources, more information on the main method, and the C# guide on if statements. So those are optional. The assignments are required. Please let me know if you run into any problems or if you have questions. I think this is fun, so hopefully you guys will all find coding to be fun. Have a great week. And again, reach out if you need help.